Hey! Wow, it's been a while since before I went away on vacation that I got in front of the camera and streamed for you guys, but I feel like doing it now. I don't know why, just kind of do. Gonna play some Moon Patrol, maybe. There we go. So I got a lot of memories of this game. I used to play this in arcades when I would find it. I was never great at it, but for some reason this game always seemed to attract me whenever I would be in an arcade and it was there. Wow, that's terrible. Hey, what's up? uh, so whenever I would see this in arcades, I would just feel the need to play it, so I did. Never really gotten very good at it. Oh, well, it's nice to have you here. Hope your school year is going well. Uh-oh. Place I used to play this the most was at an arcade in a big mall around here. It's not so big anymore because malls are pretty much dead. There used to be two arcades in that mall. I'm glad to hear that. This has been a long school year this year. A lot of stuff going on. So I'm glad that you stopped by. So yeah, I played this at that arcade quite a bit. There were two arcades actually in the mall at the time. There was one in like the middle floor, and then there was one in the lower floor in the food court, which they called Cafe Square. So I used to play this. It was downstairs, so I would play it there. There were a couple of other places that had it too. Trying to remember. One of them I think was a bowling alley. And I think I'm pretty sure that another one was a pool hall, but I don't remember offhand. The mind's kind of escaping me here. It's been a long week. How is school treating me? The school is treating me nicely. It is definitely a different job for me. Hey, Audrey. It's definitely a different job for me than substitute teaching was. I really don't do a lot of teaching in my job. I'm kind of like a tech support guy, where I set up and repair computers and solve all kinds of tech problems. And I do things that are like related to technology. I don't do any like technology teaching, at least not this year. I'm hoping to maybe do some next year if I'm brought back in the same position. That's the hope anyway. We'll see if that winds up happening. Right now I just want to get through this year first. Yeah, I work with a pair of former employees of the same school. We do talk about it from time to time. I do miss it there. It was one of the best jobs I ever had. But this job that I took, it was kind of hard not to take it, given what I know about technology. Plus, I gotta be honest, having a later start time where I don't have to be in the office until 9 o'clock in the morning makes a big difference. You probably remember I'm not really the best in terms of being a morning person, so this definitely helps. And I had a delay this morning, so I didn't have to be in the office until 11 o'clock. So it was pretty nice. But I definitely do miss where I was. I miss the students. I miss teaching. Being in the classroom and working with lesson plans and stuff. Maybe I'll do more of that next year, who knows. I seem to have settled into a little bit of a groove here. Uh-oh. Gotta get one more. Slow down, slow down. Thank you, I appreciate that. I really did love love my job. I liked it more when I was in a classroom a lot. Teaching is where I really wanted to do, and I just never had the opportunity to finish the college I needed in order to actually become a full-time teacher. So I had enough credits to become a substitute teacher, so that's what I did. I think I told this story before. I got into substitute teaching because when I was going to college, I was a year away from getting my associate's degree, and my financial aid ran out. When you go to college, it's a lot of money to go to college, whether it's a community college or an actual legit four-year school. So I had straight A's. I loved going to school. I was learning a lot. And then my financial aid just kind of hit a snag, and I was forced to figure out what it was I was going to do. I certainly couldn't sit around for a year because there was going to be no financial aid. I had to come up with something to do. So I got into teaching. I had enough college credits built up that I could become a substitute teacher for some towns. So that's what I did. I put in my resume in 2 different towns and got accepted. I taught more in one than another. And then after that first year of going from school to school, I applied at your school and I got hired, and I did that. I was really a fun year. Difficult at times, especially the last part of the year, but still fun nonetheless. And now, just a whole new thing that I'm doing, and learning a lot too. Yep, I'm still around. I know I really should drop by at some point and say hi to everybody. I just haven't had the time because my schedule is different than yours. You guys get out of school a lot sooner than I do. Oh, that's too bad. But it is really nice to hear from you. I will try and get up there at some point, or try and touch base with the staff, and if they'll let me in, and just see what's going on. So it's really nice for you to drop in. Thank you very much. It kind of made my night, actually, talking to a student I used to work with. And it's funny because being that particular job, working at that school, really changed what I was doing with the channel, with my YouTube channel. Completely changed my my strategy, because I wanted to, I knew that when word got around that I had a YouTube channel, I knew that there were going to be some students that watched, and I wanted it to be something that everyone could watch. I really didn't want to have something that people couldn't watch, or that was only for adults. So I'm really grateful for that. The 7th and 8th graders, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders that I work with really kind of helped to steer the channel in the direction that it's in. So that's kind of a cool story. And I suppose while I'm at it, since I've got a few minutes here, since I'm doing pretty well, want to let you guys know what's going on with the channel, because there hadn't been a lot of updating, so I want to let you know where I was and what's to expect and what's going on. I was in Florida last week for 3.5 days. It was awesome. Temperatures were in the 80s every day, and it was in the 60s at night. It rained a little bit, but for the most part it was sunny. It was great. It was what I needed because I hate snow. But I was down there. The reason I went down there is because I'm looking to relocate. Oh, that's too bad. I'm looking to relocate in the next couple of years. It's not something that's going to be happening tomorrow or next week, but something that I've been looking into doing. So I went and I got a pretty good idea of what I want to do. And I even did a little bit of game hunting while I was down there. If you've checked out the channel, you saw a video of the games that I got when I was down there. But obviously, because I wasn't... I did it again. Because I wasn't here, I wasn't able to upload anything to the channel. So I did some last weekend. With the stuff that I got on the trip. And I did an unsealed episode as well, and I just did another one recently with Castle Shikigami 2. So I have been uploading things to the channel a little bit. It just kind of comes in spurts. I also, this week has been tough. I hurt my knee again. Some of you, or some students that I worked with last year, remember that I had a couple of knee problems when I was there, or a big old brace. It was really kind of annoying. And I've been wearing one again starting today, so it's been a little bit tough. It's been a weird week. Plus, we had some snow. So I do have something planned for that'll go up on Monday, the 4th. March 4th is the 25th anniversary of a certain game that got released for consoles. It is one of my favorite games of all time, and I actually have a brand new copy that's 25 years old that I'll be opening on camera for that particular episode, and I'm waiting for one more piece to come in the mail that goes with that episode. So that'll go up on Monday the 4th. That is the episode that I'm probably most excited to shoot. So that's coming. I do have some more games over on my shelf that I want to get to. I think I've talked about this on camera before in the streams, because that's usually when I talk about future plans. I have a bunch of golf games over on the shelf. Video game golf is a favorite of mine. You've probably noticed that because I've done a lot of golf streaming, either with Everybody's Golf or with Rory McIlroy PGA Tour. So I love golf video games. I can't play golf myself. I suck at it. But video game golf I can do. That is an awesome compliment. I appreciate that. I'm hoping that it's fun to watch, even though sometimes I drone on a little bit. But that's kind of me, and you know that. So thank you very much for that. So I have some golf games I want to open up. I do have a couple of other games of interest. I have a Genesis baseball game from 1991 that I'm going to be opening. That's going to be exciting. Oh, I just barely got away from that. Oh, I appreciate that too, thanks. I still can't believe I'm at 500, although that's been kind of going up and down of late. But that's okay. Subs on this channel, while I'm certainly excited to have them, because the channel isn't monetized, I'm not too worried about that. I'm just having fun doing what I'm doing. And if other people are having fun watching it, that's even better. So I have some other stuff. Like I said, I have that baseball game for the Genesis. I have some other PS2 games to open that I recently got. I have an original NES game from 1989. That's going to be part of the golf series, and I'll be opening that as well. So there is more Unsealed coming. The downside is that the series will be ending this year. I've done 84 episodes so far. The next one will be 85. Hey, Amber. Yes, Moon Patrol is one of my favorites as well. So I've done 85 episodes of Unsealed. I've bought all the games myself. And with me now getting ready to make that move to Florida, I gotta tighten my belt a little bit. I gotta get my bills paid. And I have to kind of keep a tighter rein on my gaming budget. So I'm not going to ask for donations or anything like that. It's just that I think the concept has pretty much run its course, and a lot of the other games that I would get if I was going to buy them would be pretty expensive. Like the game I'm going to be opening in the next episode cost me a pretty penny as well, but it's something that I really wanted to do. And when you see what it is on the 4th, you'll understand why. You know, I'll explain why it's so important personally. It's not ending like tomorrow or anything like that. I still have enough, so I'm going to do it'll be at least a 100 episode run. And that's pretty good, I think. And then after that, what is going to happen with the channel, I'm not exactly sure. I do have some concept ideas for a series called Repeat that I've started, which basically is me on camera talking about a certain game or games and my experience with them. So rather than opening the game as brand new, I'll just be talking about the games that I have in my library, and I have quite a few that I'd like to get to. Also like game demos, game magazines, things like that. So that is in the works. The channel just won't go away or won't stop because Unsealed does. I'll just be changing format a little bit. I still plan on doing some streaming as well, like this. So I'll be populating the channel with some things. What is my favorite game? That is a loaded question. I can't answer that question because I have too many games that I consider to be favorites. I can go all the way back to like Hardball on the Commodore 64. I could go back to Missile Command on the Atari 2600 or Mega Mania on the Atari 2600, all the way to favorite arcade games like Gorf and The Empire Strikes Back and Street Fighter Alpha 3. I mean, there are so many games that I could mention like in a top favorites list. When you've been around as long as I have and you've played as many games as I've played, it's difficult to nail down just one favorite, I think. But I mean, I could do an entire series of videos talking about like my 50 favorite games, and maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just show each on camera. I'll do one at a time and talk about those. Now, one question that I've had in the past is about my filming location. Those of you who have watched my videos, like time viewers, have probably seen that I've changed my filming location. I used to film where all my game systems are, and I have changed that because, quite simply, with the games that I've accumulated over the years, I'm out of room. I have games literally everywhere. And until I make my move, where I have a bit more room to work with, things are kind of tight. So that's why I do a lot of the filming here in my office. I am hoping to do more stuff in there. I'm trying to get things moved around so I can do, so I can film some episodes in there. Maybe some makeshift Let's Play things like I've done in the past. I did one for track and field, I think, where I broke 1,000,000 points for the NES. So I'm hoping to do more of that a little bit later this year. It's just filming in here where I have my PC webcam is just easier than setting the iPad up somewhere in order to get that filming done. But I will try and get some more filming done in my office so you guys can see the GXTV and you guys can see the games playing behind me rather than just the static background on my calendar and stuff. How do I feel about modern games? Boy, that's a loaded question too. I'm not a fan anymore. I've said this repeatedly, that I'm pretty sure that this current generation, the PS4, Xbox One, Switch generation, is going to be my last for modern stuff. I have a variety of reasons that I think that way, ranging from just not being able to play games when I get them, having to wait for stuff to download, to managing hard drive space. I have, in this PS4 that you see me playing games on now, I have a 4 terabyte hard drive in there, and I have less than a terabyte left. I did it again. I gotta remember that that tank is there. So dealing with that, dealing with the internet, the decline of single-player games, lots of microtransactions, just a lot of stuff that I'm not a fan of. I gotta get that speed right. So I'm not really the biggest fan, and not to say that the whole thing is a waste. There are some modern games that I do like, but by and large, I'm happier with the retro stuff. I did it again. So yeah, that's how I feel on it. I certainly wouldn't tell anyone, I certainly don't want anyone to necessarily just straight up agree with me. I'm sure that for every gripe that I have about modern games, that there are others that can find awesome things about them, and that's great. It's me. I'm also like a stodgy old coot who just remembers things the way they used to be and kind of likes them better that way. I guess that makes me an old man. And I turned 47, and wow, like a month and change, a little less than 2 months actually, because February is a short month. But it is what it is. I certainly wouldn't, I don't look to badmouth gaming per se. But I think I'm coming to realize, after I did get angry about it for a time, and I think now, and Amber says it pretty perfectly, it's a change. It's a change in the way that gaming is going. It's been going that way for a long time, and I kind of went along with it, and I tried to just kind of deal with it as things came, and I've just gotten to the point where I don't have the patience for it anymore. You're talking to a guy that when he bought a new game from the store, he could just bring it home, pop it in his system, and the thing would play. I'm very weirded out and annoyed by having to wait for patches to download or for installations and all that other stuff. And people try and draw parallels to old computer games and how you had to wait for those to install, but I was never a PC gamer. I was always a console player, and consoles, with the exception of like 6th generation consoles like the PS2 or even the PlayStation, PS2, GameCube, Xbox, there was some disc access time, but not to the extent that we have today. Whoops. Yeah, I mean, it's a lack of patience. Some people have more patience for it than others. Some people, that's all they know, is they know that downloading games is just kind of the way it is. That's the way things are, and that's what they know. Me, I remember a time when it was not a thing. So it's a little bit more difficult for me to grasp and to deal with. But that's my problem. It's like being in a relationship. It's not me, or it's not you, it's me. It's very much what this is. It's not necessarily that gaming is bad. It's just what I want out of games and what my expectations are is different. So I'm okay to move on. I have tons and tons of games to play in all kinds of genres for all kinds of consoles. So I won't stop playing just because I move on from modern gaming. I can just go with retro stuff and be happy with that. How to play a game. Insert cart, power on, plus start to play. Yeah, I mean, that's what it was. Especially when you're going back to the 8-bit and 16-bit eras. I mean, that's what it was. There was not even load time. Well, a couple of SNES games had load time later on, like Street Fighter Alpha 2, but those were the exception and not the rule. So, it's all an expectation of what you're used to. If I had just started playing video games in the Xbox 360 PS3 era, I'd be used to downloads and installs and patches and microtransactions and season passes and all that stuff. I'm just not used to that. That's not me. To me, that's not what gaming is. I'm used to getting everything on one cart or on one disc, and if there was going to be something else, then there would be an expansion pack that you would buy, which had more content on it, and it was usually like $30 or something like that, but it felt like an add-on or an expansion, rather than buying DLC piecemeal or buying it for $30 and not knowing what's going to be on it or how good it's going to be. So yeah, I mean, that's where I come from on it. I know that sometimes on social media I come on way too strong when it comes to my gripes with modern gaming, and I really shouldn't do that, because there are a lot of people that like it the way it is, and there's nothing wrong with that. It is purely a preference thing, or a preferential thing. I prefer a much faster experience. I prefer more focused games instead of all the open world stuff that's out there now. I prefer to play games solo unless I'm streaming, and even then I'm still playing on my own. I'm just playing in front of an audience. If you played games in an arcade back in the 80s, you played in front of an audience quite a bit, because there were people that would watch you, especially if you were good at what you were playing. Oh, I should have been dead, and I am there. Like a game like this, even, I used to watch people play a lot because I didn't have a lot of money as a kid. I was part of a single-parent household and the oldest of 3 kids, so I didn't get a lot of money to play. I tried the whole PC gaming with The Sims 1 to 3 were a thing. I couldn't keep up with the stuff that's required for running the games. Yeah, I mean, that's a PC thing. That's if you've played PC games for a long time, you get accustomed to it. If you haven't, it's something that can be kind of bothersome, or getting used to, or trying to figure out PC settings, things like that. And I just don't have the patience for it. And especially when I work with tech all day, when I work with computers all day, the last thing I want to do is come home to another computer and try and get that fixed the way I want it to run. I don't want to use a computer very much when I'm at home. I use my laptop behind me when you know, when I absolutely have to, usually at night or when I'm shooting YouTube videos or whatever. But you know, usually with me, oh, that was terrible. I'll start again. You know, when I'm home, I'm usually using, you know, I have my phone or I have a tablet or something, and that's as far as it goes. A lot of PC games aren't fully complete nowadays. That's also true. Just a matter of, you know, games are just gotten big. Bigger than Blu-rays. So you have to download parts of the game. I used to play Xbox One a lot, but I did get into the old Donkey Kong for a while. Yeah, I mean, Donkey Kong's classic, no matter which one you're talking about. Whether you're talking about the arcade game, whether you're talking about Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo, whether you're talking about Donkey Kong for the Game Boy, which is an obscenely overlooked game. You know, there's lots of different Donkey Kong games, and most of them are really good. Now I have The Sims 4 on PS4, and I'm super happy with that. That's awesome, and you know, that's good. You got to find your sweet spot. You got to find the platform that you like playing games on and stick with that. You know, right now I juggle my time between 3 platforms when I'm playing modern stuff. I have my PS4 here, which is my streaming machine. So you know, any game that I want to stream, I get for the PS4, even though it's an old PS4. If I'm worried about graphics performance, I get it from Xbox One. And you know, I get plenty of stuff for Switch too. A lot of Nintendo games and a few other games here and there. Like they do a lot of arcade archive stuff like this. Like this came out for the Switch first before it came out for the PS4. And because I love the game so much, look out, I had to get it there. So I juggle those 3, and then I have all the consoles in the other room. Jokingly telling one of my coworkers about playing Pac-Man in today's time, but you need to pay extra if you want the power pellets. I mean, well, we got to be fair when we're talking about arcade gaming of the 80s. The whole objective of arcade games in the 80s was trying to extract quarters from you. So the games sometimes were purposely difficult or cheap to get you to spend more money. And we see this now with modern gaming, where they have different tactics to be able to get you to spend more money on the games, with different a la carte content pieces and season passes and things. I feel the last good Mario game was New Super Mario Bros. Wii. You know, I'm one of the few people, at least in my feed online, my social media feed, who thinks that New Super Mario Bros. U is great. A lot of people complain that it's the same thing, and Nintendo should have done more with it for a Switch release because it was a Wii U game. But I'm happy with the way it is. Game's tough. I struggle with it a lot. In fact, I might have to go back to using one of the easier characters, but that's okay. That's the way it should be. It should be a challenge. New Super Mario Bros. Wii was good. I'm also big on I'm a big Super Mario Galaxy fan. Loved the first, really liked the second. A lot of callbacks to Super Mario 3 in those games, which I appreciate because Super Mario 3 is my favorite Super Mario Brothers game, so I'm a little biased there. Not that the other games are awful by any means, but that's Super Mario Brothers 3 is the one that I identify with the most. And I mean, the Wii is just, to me anyway, it's a great little platform. Still have mine in my room. Still play it on occasion. Haven't had a lot of time lately. Have a lot of Virtual Console stuff for it too. Have an N64 in my basement, and it has Mario 64. There you go. I mean, the N64, you know, when I first got it, I think I've told this story. When I got the N64, I got it on launch day only because I happened to stop into an electronics store called Lechmere, which is exclusive to New England. I stopped at an electronics store, and they had one left. I wasn't even really looking for one, but I happened to be out and about, and I saw it. And I bought it. I picked it up just because I didn't know how many others there would be. So I got that. I got Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wing 64. and I think I've talked about it on video. That came out not too many days before my paternal grandmother died. So coming to grips with that, because she was like a second mom to me, did a lot of raising of me and looked out for me a lot when I was a kid. So playing Nintendo 64 kind of helped me to cope with that a bit. So that's what I'll always remember the 64 for. And of course for 1998 in 64 history. While I'm not a Zelda fan at all, or I'm not the biggest Ocarina of Time fan, that game was just so important to so many people. I remember I was working for Funcoland when that came out. Meanwhile, my money went to Rogue Squadron and the expansion pack. If you remember the red expansion pack that goes in the hood, I know Amber does. Man, that's what I remember. I remember Star Soldier Vanishing Earth, a game that I always talk about because it's a great shooter. South Park was a game that came out that year, and I know that shows my maturity, or lack thereof. But I loved that game. F-Zero X came out in 1998 as well, so it was a really big year for N64. Hated the N64 controller, though. Yeah, you're not alone. The N64 controller has a great D-pad. I'll give it that. Playing NBA Hang Time with that D-pad is awesome. But the rest of the controller layout is really weird, and the analog stick is really flimsy. And one of my more interesting memories of the N64 controller is that a lot of people broke theirs when Mario Party came out. I actually was talking on this on Twitter not too long ago. Or no, there was a Nintendo ad in a magazine. I've been posting a lot of retro gaming ads on Twitter of late and on Instagram. And one of the ads was talking about getting blisters on your hands, and this was well before the N64 came out. And I made a mention that it's funny that they talked about getting blisters on your hands, because that's exactly what wound up happening with Mario Party. So it's just kind of funny how that works out. It's funny, I keep getting to the same spots, and then I lose it. There we go. Got some work to do if I'm going to get that score beat. Oh no! Yeah, the N64 controller, not my favorite. There have been some controller things that Nintendo's done in the past that have really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Was not a fan of the GameCube controller either, just because I was used to a more traditional face button layout. It's not a bad controller by any stretch, but man, that D-pad is like microscopic. Like my thumb would cover the whole thing. So you kind of had to manipulate your thumb in such a way that you didn't cover it all up. And there's the weird like bean-shaped buttons and the big circle buttons, and it's like, what is that? What are they doing? But the games that it's designed for, and not like a multi-platform game, so like Nintendo's own games that use the controller, those are fine. But trying to play a game that you would originally play on your PS2 or on your Xbox with a GameCube controller was really a pain. Oh, look at me. I almost look like I know what I'm doing. Oh, no. I mean, I love GameCube, don't get me wrong. One of my favorite games for the platform is Rogue Leader, Rogue Squadron 2. That was the game that I knew right away when I played it, and I played it at a Target. I played the demo at a Target, and I knew as soon as I played it, I'm like, this is a system I have to have on launch day. The graphics were just sick. They were so good that I had to have it. And it's still, honestly, especially if you play on a CRT, on a regular, like a tube TV, Rogue Leader still holds up today, like graphically. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's hard not to be impressed with what Rogue Leader looks like. And I even opened up a brand new GameCube game for Unsealed. I opened up a game called Beach Spikers, which is like virtual volleyball, and that game is also awesome. And it's also a GameCube exclusive, so I can't play that anywhere else. So that, at least to me, I mean, it makes the GameCube worth owning. I also, and I haven't told this story before, I actually won a GamePro contest. I don't know if you remember GamePro magazine at all. They were giving away copies of Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2, and I won both. I also got like a special Sonic statue, which unfortunately has gone missing through all the different moves and relocations that I've done in my adult life. But that was awesome. That's probably one of the biggest contests that I've won. I won that contest, and then of course the biggest one was winning a free trip to E3 in 2011. Kmart and Sears were throwing that contest, and I won that, or was one of the winners in that, and got an all expenses paid trip to Los Angeles to go to E3, and that was definitely exciting too. What controller do I prefer, Xbox or PlayStation? Honestly, if you're talking Xbox 360 versus PS3, then I would go with the PS3, the DualShock 3. If we're talking about Xbox One versus PlayStation 4, I think I go Xbox One barely. I think that the... What happened there? I think that the D-pad on the new Xbox controller is finally what it should be. Yes, I know what that is. I have been dealing with that this week, and it is not fun. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. I know what it is, though. It's as someone who works in technology, it is really annoying. And I'll leave it at that. Man, I'm not having much luck this game. Tell you, one of the things that's nice about something like this or any of the Arcade Archives games, I think Amber would get this if she's still here, is that not having to pay 25 cents every time you want to play a game is a definite hook. When you're a kid and you're playing this, because arcades were where you played a lot of your video games back in the 80s, if you didn't come armed with quarters, and more often than not, you didn't show up with a roll of quarters or with like $10 or $20 to put in a token machine, being able to play these games at will without having to pop money in is a definite plus. Your time? Oh wow, that was awful. I talked about it briefly. I'll mention it again on my Instagram channel, or my Instagram account, or whatever you call it. I've been posting a lot of things called in a hashtag called retro game ads, and in there I've been looking through some magazine scans, and I've been posting some ads from old video game magazines, and either commenting on my experience with that particular game, or maybe making funny comments. It's certainly cool to relive some of that, because I grew up in the magazine era. So these ads, I remember seeing a lot of these. So to be able to comment on them has been kind of cool, and seeing them again has been awesome. Been in an arcade twice. I've been in an arcade probably 100 times more than that. Arcades where I spent a lot of my time. Let me get back to CNA for just a minute. Do you think the next generation of consoles will be good? I think so. I think it's going to be more graphics focused. I think that on the Sony side, they're going to have some backwards compatibility, so you'll be able to play PS4 and PS5 games at least. So that's a plus because they didn't have backwards compatibility this time around. So I think it'll be good. I don't know, like in terms of graphics fidelity, I don't know what they're going to improve on. Hopefully they improve on the frame rate so we can get away from this 30 frames per second nonsense and get to 60. I'd love to see that if that happens. I think that available hard drive space will be bigger. I think that you're going to start to see, I mean, at absolute minimum, you're going to start to see a terabyte, and that might even be a solid state terabyte, with the option to add an external hard drive, kind of like you can for modern systems now. So it's I always think looking at things from a neutral standpoint instead of being biased towards or against. I think that there's reason to be excited. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be excited for the next generation of consoles. Was I a fan of the Pixels movie? I was not a fan of the movie, but I didn't hate it either. I thought it was okay. I thought that Adam Sandler kind of phoned in his acting role, which is a little disappointing. But as someone who grew up in arcades, a lot of those arcade references, I was down with that. I thought that they were pretty cool. Just the casting I didn't like. Some of the acting was either hammy or just phoned in, and could have been better. I'd still sit and watch The Wizard 10 times out of 10 over that. Should look on riff tracks and see whether they riffed on that. That would actually be a fun watch, I think. I had it on my phone up until yesterday, and I deleted it. So on my phone, I have The Wizard, I have Jurassic Park, I have a few seasons of Married with Children, and I have some cartoons on there. Oh! So yeah, it's one of those things too where when a movie comes out, especially when it's a video game related movie, there are people that get really defensive when they think that the movie isn't good, and they like to dogpile. Dogpiling is definitely an internet thing. And I didn't dogpile on the movie. I thought it was fine. I went and I saw it in the theater. I never denied that I wasn't going to go see it. I thought that it was interesting enough that I would go. The premise was okay, I thought, although it was a little bit out there. I thought that the premise was fine. I liked the visual effects. I thought the visual effects were fine, if not a little over the top. I thought that Hubert was a little weird, but Hubert is weird in general. But I just, I didn't hate it. I hated the new Jurassic World. Jurassic World was a good idea the first time. Just having it come back, kind of, it definitely calls out to your nostalgia. So, I was fine with that, and I saw Fallen Kingdom in the theater, and just like Pixels, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was award-winning. It wasn't something I went to go see again, but it was okay. The visual effects I thought were fine, but it was just, it's no Jurassic Park. And I saw the original Jurassic Park. I saw that in the theater back when it first came out, and I went to the midnight showing. I was living outside of Worcester at the time, and I went to that opening night, like at midnight. And that was pretty exciting. No, I haven't subscribed to or watched PewDiePie. I think the closest that I get, I watch Troydan stuff, and only because he is a sports video game player, plays more basketball than I play. And some of his humor is questionable. But I think that, sometimes you just need that silly humor to get you through a day or a night or whatever. I think his stuff is pretty funny. There was just a video he did where he was doing he was opening up NBA 2K cards, and he was looking for one particular card, and every time he would open a pack that didn't have the card he was looking for, he would eat crickets. and he hated it. You could see that he hated it, and he still did it. And for him to put himself through that, I thought was pretty funny. Jurassic Park 3. Yeah, no, 3 was better than Lost World was. Lost World was terrible. 3 was okay. Do I Twitch? I have a Twitch channel. I just don't use it much because my subscriber or follower base is less than on my YouTube channel. I have thought about doing more stuff on Twitch and then maybe moving it over to YouTube later. But a lot of people who follow me or who subscribe to me on YouTube tend to find me this way. And everything just auto archives. I don't have to do anything to YouTube in order to get it to show up later. You know, once I finish streaming whatever game I'm playing, I forget it, and it goes up on the channel automatically, and that's that. I have thought about Twitch though. I do have all of my Twitch information in the PS4 here, and I may do some Twitch streaming maybe during the spring. Do a couple of trials just to see how many viewers I get. And I think Twitch is an interesting platform. I know a lot of people who do it. I know some people who got away from their original YouTube patterns in order to go to Twitch. One creator, and I know that it's not just that, it's been a variety of things. Pro Jared. Jared has been one of my favorite YouTube personalities for a long time. And I know he had some things going on in his personal life, and he was burned out, and he went to Twitch and to just doing Let's Plays full time instead of doing his long form videos, which I absolutely adored. So I do miss that. I don't think I'm going to get away from that per se, but yeah, I mean, if enough people mention that they'd like me to try the Twitch thing, sure, I'll give it a shot. What inspired me to do YouTube? What inspired me to do YouTube actually was the PlayStation Move for the PS3, and also just watching other YouTube personalities. I've always been a big angry video game nerd fan. I think that James Rolfe is just amazing. He has given me so many laughs over the years, and I wanted to be like him. And then as time went on, meeting and talking to folks like Pat Contry and Norm the Gaming Historian and the Game Chasers and a few others who were doing YouTube, I figured I would give it a shot. I certainly do it. It is not the most impressive setup. In fact, at risk of using a poor term, it's very ghetto what I do. I don't have professional lighting, nor am I going to buy professional lighting. I don't have a green screen. I don't script. It is purely just hobby stuff for me. So, but they inspired me to do that. And then the first video that I did that I thought was kind of important was I was living in Arizona, and the PlayStation Move had just come out for the PS3, and I'm like, well, maybe no one has done their impressions of it, so I'll get it, I'll bring my laptop into my living room, and I will try it out in front of that camera and talk about it, kind of like a product review. And that was the first time that I got into it. And now it's a fun thing for me to do. When I feel like I want to get on camera and talk games, I can do that. And I had several ideas for a while. I had like a retro unscripted idea, which I did for a little while, and I got away from it. I got sick, and there were also some issues with me not being able to film as often as I wanted to, so the channel would be quiet for a while. So I did that for a time, and then I rolled that up into Consolation, which was my first blog, and I wanted to kind of get that all together. And again, that kind of didn't work out. And then I had an idea to talk about old sports games using me in a referee shirt. I actually did that as part of a college project. I think I've talked about that before. I wasn't sure what to expect with that when I started it, but it was a college internet presentation course that I was in, and they wanted, the professor wanted us to come up with an online venture that we would open up like a Facebook fan page for, and a website for, things like that. So I came up with the Retro Referee project, and I was at it for a little while. It was, and it became more than just a grade. It was a decent concept. And then, again, kind of just stuff kind of happened. I wound up transitioning out of college, and I wound up working full time, getting into teaching, and I didn't have the free time that I had when I was in college. When I was in college, I wasn't working then. So my big responsibility, was just college, which was half of a day that I would have a little bit of time to do homework, which that I had to do, and then the rest of the time was mine. I should have been dead. So I had more free time. I had more energy then. And then the first year that I was teaching, when you're changed from being up late at night and then being able to sleep through a lot of the morning to kind of changing that up, that took some getting used to. I'm still not the morning person I probably should be as a teacher or as someone who works in a school building, but I'm getting there. But then, the channel was kind of sitting for a little while. I had some ideas, but things were kind of floating around a little bit. And then I started working on Pat Contry's book. If there are students here who were with me at my last school, they probably remember I talked about me writing for that book, which, by the way, is coming out this year. It is done. And there's a Kickstarter going on for it right now. And it's not so much a Kickstarter now as it is a pre-order plan, because the book has been funded. I'm very excited about that. There was a little bit of worry for a time, because a book like that costs money to publish. A lot of the initial money came from the author himself. So the fact that the book got funded and then some has been just amazing. The fact that I am going to have reviews in a book that people are going to be buying with their own money is a dream scenario. As someone who wanted to be a video game reviewer for a while in his life, that's pretty special. So I was working on the book, and I was doing some Let's Play grabs from my laptop with that. And that's where some of my student friends were watching some of those. They were watching me playing game show games on the computer, and because I was doing those for review, or at least some of those for review. And then, the Unsealed idea hit in 2018. I had actually been doing some Unsealed stuff just at random. I would find some sealed things, or I would get some sealed things for gifts, or buy them from Amazon or whatever. And I loved opening them and looking at the instruction manuals and looking at the registration cards. And I thought to myself that would be a great show idea. I knew it would upset some game collectors, but I thought that it would make an interesting show idea, and I could kind of emulate, at least, or a little bit, what it was like for me to buy games at the mall when I was younger. So I started doing that in 2018, and 84 episodes later, a year plus and 84 episodes later, it's been a lot of fun to do. I will miss doing them when I eventually run out of games, which won't be that long. But I thought it was a really cool idea. If I was in a better situation, if I had a bit better job in terms of pay, and I wasn't moving to Florida, and I had more time to dedicate to the channel, where I thought I was deserving of putting out like some kind of Patreon or something, I would do it. But I've never been of the mindset or opinion that I wanted to do this for money. I did have the channel monetized for a brief time, but I pulled that monetization well before YouTube decided they were going to stop it for anyone who was under X amount of subs. And it's just been for fun ever since. And to be honest, it's the best thing ever because I get to do videos on my own schedule, even though I stream at really weird hours. And, you know, I don't feel bad or guilty or anything if I go too long without making a video. You know, I like to make them as much as I can because I know that there are people that do watch the channel regularly. But I don't feel like I have to do it because of money or because of subscriber numbers or anything. I just do it because it's fun to do. And it's really, that's why this particular project has worked so well. And all my other ones kind of didn't work at all, was because I was putting too much pressure on myself. I was worried too much about subscriber numbers and analytics and how many people were watching and whether they were watching all the way through. And it was a fool's game to even think that my stuff was that good, especially with what I was doing. You know, if I really wanted to be that good, where I wanted to make money at the channel, then I would have spent money on a better camera and the green screen and the better microphone. I mean, heck, I'm using a Rock Band microphone in my videos. I just have the microphone turned so you can't see the Rock Band logo. You know, I would write scripts, and I don't do that. I would edit. I don't do that. I just have fun with it, and it's as much like a set of memoirs for me and a way for me to kind of share my experiences, even if I'm the only one who's watching, than it is anything else. You know, I'm certainly not looking to get internet famous. There's nothing in that, I don't think. And you know, it's really not what I'm gunning for. There are a lot of people that I know that are relatively internet famous that are incredible people, down-to-earth people, like Billy and Jay from the Game Chasers. If you've ever had a chance to meet them, they are ridiculously down-to-earth and no different in person than they are on camera, which is just awesome. Or if you get to meet the My Life in Gaming guys, you know, Corey and Try are just amazing people. And I would think that I want to kind of be like them, but at the same time, I just want to be myself and do my own thing. Nothing wrong with a little bit of support, though. Well, you know, at some point maybe, but you know, for now, you know, I haven't done enough, I don't think, to earn that kind of request. You know, I haven't been a regular long enough. This Unsealed project has been the thing that I've done the longest, and that's only been a year. And in YouTube time, that's a very short amount of time. So, you know, I'm okay with it. I will. You know, the channel's not going anywhere. Even if, you know, even when Unsealed ends, like I said, I still have plans on doing some things. So I appreciate you stopping in, CNA. It's good to see you, and tell everyone at the school that I miss them, and I hope that things are great. And I'll try and get in there at some point to say hi if I can. Oh, wow, we've almost been an hour. All right, let me finish this game, and then I'll go ahead and put a wrap on this. So, again, the next Unsealed video, unless I come up with something else before then, should be March 4th, which is this coming Monday. And it's the 25th anniversary, one of my favorite games of all time. I'm sure if you really want to know what it is, if you look it up on Wikipedia, you might be able to figure it out. Or if you know what kind of arcade games I like to play, you'll probably figure it out. But I'll be opening that up, and it's very interesting that we're looking at a possible snowstorm for Sunday night and Monday, and that would play into the story of this particular game that I'll be opening. So I'm kind of hoping that it works out that way. But that's the next video that I believe that I have planned. This coming weekend, I'm going to continue to work on some reviews for another book that I've got to get done. I'll be working on that this weekend. Hopefully my knee's feeling a little bit better so I can actually really concentrate. And then that video will be up, like I said, on Monday the 4th. And then after that, we'll kind of see what's up. I do want to start that golf series very soon. I do have that Genesis baseball game that I want to open up. I've been looking to try and get some more baseball games as well because it's almost baseball season. But my other fear is that I have way too many sports games, and I know that a lot of people who watch YouTube, who watch like retro gaming stuff, aren't big sports fans. So I try and mix it up as best I can, and my pile of games that isn't sports related is much lower than my pile of games that is sports related. So we'll see what happens there. Otherwise, really active on Twitter and Instagram. So if you haven't followed or subscribed or whatever it is, you certainly can do that. It's at Pete Skerritt for both. At PETESKERRITT. Let's see, Amber already has an idea what the video might be about on the 4th. That's a pretty good guess. Although I don't think you were guessing. Those games, and I'm not going to get into it really because that's what the topic of the video is going to be. But those games were, I spent so much time and money on those and absolutely no regrets. And one of my favorite memories of Retro World Expo last year was being able to meet Sal DeVita, who was so instrumental with those Midway sports games. Getting to talk to him and getting him and Tim Kitzrow to sign a couple of games for me that I have hanging up in my room. Very, very exciting stuff. But you'll find out with the next Unsealed release, if you watch that, you'll hear a lot more. Baseball with the Bunny, that is Bad News Baseball. That is my favorite NES baseball game, and one of my favorite baseball games, period. Gameplay is a lot like RBI Baseball for the NES, which a lot of people love, but it doesn't have Major League players. It's very kid-friendly. It has some funny cinema scenes where basically the adult coach is kind of sleeping in the dugout. Just good stuff. I love the music. I love the cinema scenes. The gameplay is like a refined version of RBI Baseball, which is great. The football game is NFL Blitz, and that came out in '97 in arcades, and then 1998 at home. I actually did an Unsealed episode on the Blitz games. I did several Unsealed episodes on the Blitz games. In fact, those are in the library there. You can look those up. Those are great games too. Blitz came out in '97, and in '97, I was going through some things personally. So, kind of like I did when I was a kid, arcades were really kind of like a getaway for me. So when I was going to arcades in '97, NFL Blitz was there. They also had a Blitz machine at a sports bar that I used to go to in downtown Springfield. I used to play the game there as well. So I played a ton of Blitz. I played a ton of NBA Jam. I played a lot of NBA Showtime as well. The only game I really didn't play in arcades that much, I played it more on home consoles, was NBA Hangtime, which is also great. So, we have been here for 1 hour and 5 minutes, and I think at this point I am going to cut things down, and I'm going to start heading off into the sunset for the night, as I do have one more day of school to attend to. I do want to thank you guys for checking in, whether you are live here in the stream with me right now, and I really appreciate that, or whether you're checking this out on YouTube Archive. So we'll do another Unsealed episode again. The next big one will be March 4th. Maybe there'll be another one between now and then. I'm not sure. In the meantime, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you later.